Hey guys, welcome to the Bodo Podcast. I'm Shahzaib Yaqoob, and this is Alex.
I'm Alex. Hello evening, folks. Sorry about yesterday.
We want to apologise for the wait. I know a lot of you have been waiting for a long time. We just had some technical issues and we couldn't really do the live stream, but now everything's popping working, so we am so glad to be back.
Yeah, a day late, but better late than never, eh?
Yeah, it's better to get everything fixed and prepared, and we don't want to have a bad live stream. So, but yeah, but thank you guys for tuning in, and got a very interesting topic today. We're gonna be talking about should Pixar make more sequels, and we're also gonna answer some Q&As as well. So if anyone got any questions, we'll definitely answer them. Alex, how was your day, bad boy?
I have done absolutely nothing today, guys. I have decided to stay inside all day, not leave the house, and eat some junk food. So, yeah, that's my day.
Yeah, I think, especially in lockdown, but this one reason I did the show, because I want to, it's a rare time to sit down and, listen to us while, everyone's not doing anything at home. Just have a listen to our podcast. So, and and
obviously try and keep you guys entertained.
Yeah, we'll cover some interesting topics and make sure everyone's entertained. All right. So, for the first topic I want to talk about, well, the main topic is we're going to list some sequels. But is it a good idea or a bad idea? So the first sequel I'm going to straight away talk about is, should Pixar make a Toy Story 5? Now, me and Alex both have different opinions on this, so it's a little bit of a debate today. But do you want to go first, Alex, or do you want me to go first?
Say, guys, get involved in the comments.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear. Now, I must point something out here. I have not seen Toy Story 5 in full. But
Toy Story 4.
4, sorry, Jesus. Look at this. Wake up, Alex. Toy Story 4. So I've not seen Toy Story 4 or Toy Story 5 in full, because obviously Toy Story 5 doesn't exist yet. But Toy Story 4, so I've seen the clip. I've seen some clips on YouTube, and I've done a bit of digging. Should there be a sequel? My first thing, Tom Hanks has come out and said that for him it's the last one. And he obviously voices Woody, who is one of the biggest characters in the franchise. Toy Story 4 grossed over $100 billion at the box office, and it's the biggest grossing Toy Story ever in history. And obviously we've got that ending. Now, I'm not going to spoil it for people in case they haven't seen it. But for me, I think it ended quite nicely, and I could see where there would be an opening for a potential sequel.
It ended kind of like the chapter of Woody's arc, basically. So carry on. Sorry.
I can see where there's an opening, a window of opportunity for a fifth. But I'm hesitant for them to do it because I don't see how much more development those characters are going to get. Like, what else could they do?
I see where you're going, because you don't want to repeat the same kind of story arc. Because in the third one, you've seen, the whole it's not a trilogy anymore. I get confused calling Toy Story a trilogy. But you can see the first one's him trying to accept another toy. He's not always the favorite, and the second one is letting your kid growing up, or enjoying this toy life of there's like Woody always had different kind of challenges in each film, and especially with the fourth one, like where is it like loyalty to your kid or or being is Woody's art kind of finished where he's like no longer needed because Bonnie is like no longer interested in Woody anymore. So in that way, it kind of what's next for Woody. So he felt like I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to say what happened in the end. But yeah, something kind of big happens, which changes kind of the future of Toy Story. But yeah, going back to you, Alex.
So I can, like I say, I can see where there's a window, but I think if they're going to carry on as it was, then Tom Hanks is obviously, that's a big question mark. If they're going to have Woody, Tom Hanks is like, well, he's already said it's the last one, so it's like, well, hold on, what are they going to do?
You know what? Like they said that in Toy Story 3 as well, and they said like everyone says is this the last one. I think actually Tim Allen said something opposite. I think he said they might do another one. They said they could do another one, but not saying they're doing another one. But so it's kind of interesting. Both two actors have a different opinion, but I can see where Tom Hanks coming in himself. Like I think Woody's kind of finished now. There's nothing like to do now compared to the other films. Now I say I do want a Toy Story 5 because I feel like it'll be quite interesting to focus on another character. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Woody, and I was upset with the ending. A lot of other people, I'm not saying what happens, just in case people haven't seen it, but I really would like to kind of figure out if they could do a film about Buzz or any other Toy Story characters, or even a spin-off of other characters from there's so many toys out there.
But will that story be strong enough?
I think if they come up with something really good and they come up with like a really good story, obviously, because there's so many things I was really, Toy Story is a very big world to explore. And the first one was about, it's very small. You gets to have an adventure around going to Pizza Planet and exploring around like there's a little glimpse on the neighborhood. And the second one is a mission to go to like the actual neighborhood and rescue Woody from the toy stores. The third one's about daycare, and the fourth one was a fun fair. And I really like how Pixar changes the stages in each film, and I think there's so many more. And I want to go to talk about the original Toy Story 3 idea of Circle 7, because I don't know if you know, Alex, there was originally they were meant to do a Toy Story 3 back in 2004, I believe, because Pixar the contract ended between Disney and Pixar, and they couldn't renew the new contract. So Pixar and Disney kind of broke up, and they went their separate ways, and Disney kind of created their own computer animation company, and it became Circle 7. And there was 3 sequels they were planning to do. So there was a sequel of Toy Story 3, Finding Nemo 2, and The Monster Inc. 2. Now, as much as I've seen some of the storyboards of Toy Story, the original. It's hard to say the original Toy Story 3, but I thought the interesting aspect about that film was it was focusing on Buzz. And Buzz is like, because I know Woody was mainly all the four films, Woody became like always the main character. And I felt Buzz was kind of pushed aside a lot in later in the films, especially Toy Story 2 here did still have a big role, but in 3 and 4 it was just more like starting to turn to less a side character, because a lot of interviews with Tim Allen, he used to complain to and saying, I get less scripts from each move I do. I get less script from Buzz's lines. Tom Hanks gets like a lot more lines than I get, so but I really like the idea of the original Toy Story 3 where Buzz goes to Taiwan, and I thought it was so interesting to explore the toys in a bigger world, because they would actually go to Taiwan and try to rescue Buzz, because apparently all the Buzz Lightyear toys are getting recalled, and I thought that was so interesting because that kind of completes Buzz's arc, because in the first, what Buzz's arc, but it completes what the trilogy was doing, because Buzz was, you show the toy, like the advert, then you actually see Buzz's aisle, and the third one you actually see his, like, how he's being made, because in that scene where I think you can remember is when Buzz sees the TV commercial in Toy Story 1, and he, when he finds out he's a toy. Yeah. He opens his communique and it shows made in Taiwan. When I was watching that as a kid, I was so interested in seeing, I actually want to see how Buzz has been made, because they teased him like so much in each film, like interesting aspects, the merchandising and where is Buzz's base on, I know he thinks he's from Star Command, but I thought it was so interesting to kind of show his real home, where like how a toy being made. And I think they have at least, if it is a Toy Story 5 or not, I think there's still a room to do that, to explore like toys being made or in a factory or something like that. I thought that'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think for me, I feel a little bit more cagey about the whole idea, because for me, obviously being a little bit older, the original Toy Story was my childhood. I remember sticking on the old VHS cassette, watching that film, not over and over again, but quite frequently, because it was
a classic.
Well, yeah, and it's just something that I remember quite fondly when I was a kid, and I'm like, yeah, this is great, and I don't want it to become a bit of a cash grab, a bit like we see with the Ice Ages.
I see where you're coming there, because I get what you mean. If when they do complete, so for example, like the Ice Age sequel are mostly cash grabs. Sorry, my words there. But they keep repeating, like, let's do a third one, and a fourth one, and a fifth one. I understand where you're coming from there. I think, but in my favorite Pixar, I really hope, and what I love about Pixar compared to DreamWorks is Pixar focuses on storytelling than what, and I know addressing the elephant in the room with Disney, do want more merchandise, so they do. It's kind of like a both thing, where they do focus on storytelling and they kind of still want to make more money with the merchandise. But I don't know who runs the whole ideas of they should do this sequel or that, but I guess it's kind of both parties kind of doing it for both reasons. I think at least maybe in Pixar's perspective, they're trying to do a better, got an idea for a story, and Disney's like, oh, that's a great story. Right, introduce this new character. And Pixar's like, why? Oh, trust me, we'll get some more money on that. So I don't know if that's the reason, or...
It's just a bit, and this... Well, okay, so I'll tell you what I will say. There is some Pixar films out there that I do want to see sequels to. So, in no particular order, and I haven't got many Pixar films that I want to see sequels of, but the ones that in particular that I'd like to see sequel to. So another one that was from kind of, my late childhood. I remember watching this film with my siblings. Was Ratatouille.
Oh yeah, so I remember that.
And I think that would be great as a sequel. And one that I like personally myself, WALL-E. I just thought that as a film was really well made, and the fact that two characters couldn't even talk, so you just had to get so much of your information from body language and events, which I thought was really great, considering body language is humans and they were robots. I thought that was really good. Another one that I found just simply funny was Inside Out.
Yeah, Inside Out was kind of interesting, but I think I agree with Ratatouille, but I don't agree with WALL-E, because I know WALL-E ended up, I think the whole film was about him surviving. It was like a robot survived the apocalypse, and they end up the whole point is the humans going back to Earth or something. I haven't seen it for a while. I haven't seen it for a long time. It's been a while.
WALL-E basically saved. Well, he didn't save, but he was one of the junk robots that was sent to clean up the world and all the mess left by the humans. And once the Earth was safe to be habitable again, Wall-E would, let them know. And once they could grow plants down there. So
how would they do the sequel though with Wall-E 2? Because I don't know, could the whole will the world be rebirthed or something? Because I know
I'm no creative genius, so brace yourselves, guys, because I think some of the ideas you might be about to hear might be so bad.
We're not film writers, but.
Well, yeah, there's some of the ideas you might be about to hear might be so bad that you might fall so hard to laugh out your chair, or wherever you're sat. But so Wall-E for me, maybe I don't know. The humans have gone back to Earth, and there's some sort of giant disaster, I don't know, an asteroid or
COVID.
Something or another, something that. Yeah, yes, COVID. Something that's going to affect the world. And somehow the robots have got to find a way to fix it together, because obviously Wall-E and the new robot, I can't remember what she's called, but
I think it was Eve. It was Eva. So I think it was Eva.
Eva, yeah, that was it. Oh, I'm smiling just remembering it. So yeah, I would love to see a sequel like that, just because I thought the film was made brilliantly. I loved the fact that they didn't have any verbal communication.
Yeah, that's one thing that's quite good, because they actually got the guy who did the sound effects of Star Wars. I think it was Ben Burt. I can't remember who was the name, but I think he did R2-D2 in the sound effects. So he actually did Wall-E as well. He did the sound effects of Wall-E, all the noises and the humming and everything like that. But yeah, it was clever for Pixar to do. It was more like a silent film in the first the first half of the film. There's no dialogue. It felt like more those classic silent movies with a bit of comedy. Of you see Wall-E making a mess or something, or exploring around with stuff. So I thought that was kind of hilarious how they showed that.
I remember working at the cinema in Odeon in 2008 when Wall-E came out, and so we used to have in the team that I worked at Odeon, we'd have a kind of unspoken rule that we take it in turns that during our shift one of us could just go sit and watch a film.
Awesome, that's pretty awesome.
And we would we should do an episode about that. My most
I used to work in Toys R Us as well.
Yeah. So I remember I was working this one shift at Odeon, and I thought, you know what, because at the time I think there was a few of the horror films out, and I'd seen 30 Days of Night I think was out, and there was a few other ones, and I'm like, well, I've seen all those, because obviously when working at a cinema you just see everything for free. So I thought, right, I'm just going to go see Wall-E. So we had a little backdoor entrance to the screen. So we went and sat in the screen, and we'd pretend it was security. So we'd sit down and make sure no one was filming, whatever, which we did do. But at the same time, we'd just be sat down, chilling and enjoying ourselves. And I watched this film, and I actually got really into it whilst I was at work. And I'm like, this is actually really good. I really enjoyed it. And I left, and I was like, yeah.
I got a question for you. I got a question for you. What was actually your first Pixar film you ever watched in cinemas?
In a cinema?
Yeah, I'm not working there, but what was your first Pixar film? I'm just kind of curious. Do you remember your first ever watching in the cinema, not on VHS?
I'm just trying to rack my brain.
I'll tell mine with my one is actually I don't think I did watch Toy Story 2 in cinemas. I was pretty young then, but I did remember watching Monster Inc. And that was one really good memories I have. I think that was my first Pixar film. Then I used to watch in a weird order. I didn't watch I didn't watch Finding Nemo. Then I watched Incredibles in cinemas, and then Cars, and then Ratatouille. then pretty much, yeah, I always have a bit of a break. I don't get a chance to watch every Pixar film in cinemas, but I try. From what I remember, I did enjoy watching Monster Inc.
So, are we talking? So, when you ask me that question, are you talking about a film that I actually paid for, or one?
No, not to pay for. Like literally a memory of like in your childhood. Like I don't know how old you were when. Did you watch Toy Story in cinemas or Toy Story 2 or?
No, my mum got it on VHS for me.
But my first one was I had the same with Toy Story 2 and 1. It was on VHS. But my first one was
just before we go on. I bet there's some viewers or someone in the comments like, "What's a VHS?"
A VHS was a thing before the DVDs came out, and I think they're half extinct now. So it's like videotapes, in case people don't remember.
Yeah, basically, old style videotapes, guys.
Just search it on Google, and then that's your answer for everything these days. Google.
Yeah, you'll be amazed.
Uncle Google. Sponsored by Uncle Google.
I think the first film I went to see the first Pixar film I went to go see in the cinema. Now I can't. Oh.
It's a long memory, I guess.
I remember seeing Monster Inc., but I can't remember if I went to go see it in the cinema. If I went to go see it in the cinema, then I think my mum would have given me some money and let me go on my own. I would have been 10 then, so I don't know. Or it might have been The Incredibles and me taking one of my siblings to go see it.
I think there's one scene Monster Inc. that really scared me in the cinemas. I could actually close my eyes. And as funny enough as a Pixar movie is meant to be, a happy comedy, And I didn't like the scene where I remember as a kid, I used to get so scared. The bit where Sully and Boo goes into the Randall scream machine.
Oh yeah,
it's just the sound effects and the lighting is so dark, and I think I got petrified from watching that. I was like, remember that I had to close my eyes watching it. I enjoyed the whole film, but it was that scene in particular I think I had my mum with me, and I actually covered my eyes and I didn't want to watch this. I want to go home. A lot. To be honest, a lot of old Disney and Pixar movies, or films in general, kind of scarred you from life. There's just certain scenes that are so scary.
I haven't got scared for life.
Oh no. But yeah, there's one sequel I really want them to make is A Bug's Life 2. Now, I thought it would be pretty amazing with Pixar's technology today to cause having for example with Ant-Man, the way they show a size of an ant in a bigger world. Because Bug's Life came out I think it was 21 years ago, 1998. I'm really bad at maths, but I think that's right. But yeah, I thought it'd be so amazing to do a sequel. Obviously, with a right story. I think I did a video of they should make a Bug's Life 2. I think there was some rumors about, and I think there was a Twitter, someone tweeted, and it's just Dot's perspective, which I thought would be pretty interesting to do a film about Dot. Exploring around.
I'll just input on Bug's Life. I agree with you. I think there should be a sequel. Again, that's another one that's another film that I remember watching as a kid. I thoroughly enjoyed. So yes, there should be a sequel. Just
imagine, because I remember the rain scene was so amazing. That the last final battle scene.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine, because even seeing the technology Pixar has now, just what they could do from a camera perspective as an ant view.
And it's 22 years of technological advancement, and
it still looks amazing as well. And what's so funny, because one of my favorite scenes was there's one of my favorite scenes, and it's the bit where Flick goes just to try to travel to find the circus bugs, and there's a whole bug city. This has really cracked me up back in the day. It was like a bug city, and it's all made by trash, like a bit of Pizza Planet cups and Chinese boxes, and it was just so so funny, and they made like a whole city. And it'd be more interesting. I'd actually put Flick in a real city. Like, imagine that in an Ant's view. Because I think they have a technology for it, but I think just coming out and figure a proper story. But I'm surprised because, like, there's been so much Pixar sequels previously, and they haven't really thought of doing a Bug's Life 2. There's one thing that did annoy me, and it was the teaser of Cars. The scene where, like, I got so hyped watching the teaser because I thought it was because they had the Bug's Life music. It was like, oh yeah, it's going to be a Bug's Life 2. The theme tune's coming in, and then Maya just squashed the bug, just trashing every Bug's Life fan dreams, and it was just horrible. And then we got Mata as the new Pixar comedy character, whatever. I'm not a fan of Cars, as you see. I don't mind it, but I'm not a big fan of it.
I have seen Cars to death. Like, I remember watching that film over and over again with my siblings, and it just, in the end, it drove me a little bit potty. It's maybe why I love Formula One so much now, but honestly, I mean, no. I had that film. I gotta admit, I think, alright, I hated Cars 2. I didn't mind the first one, but I thought Cars 3 was pretty good. I'm not a fan of the Cars world. I don't know every single character. I know it's Pixar. It's hard to like, how could you don't like Cars, but you're a Pixar fan? It's just not my cup of tea. The British way, you say, not my cup of tea. My cup of tea, dear.
Not my cup of tea. But I think Cars 3 was a better story, and I just want to make sure Cars 2 doesn't exist. Like, okay, that is not. I think they purposely made less of a character in the third one. Like, he had less screen time because they know how bad they did in Cars 2. I know this is just my opinion. I know people have fans. I don't want to upset anyone if people do like the film. That's just my opinion. So don't dislike because of that.
I think one that you and me both agree on is Monsters Inc. Because let's be honest, Monsters Inc. University was a prequel, as we all know, and yeah, like, what happened there? I think they should do like going back to the Circle 7 thing, because they were planning to do a Monster Inc. 2. And I really liked the story. I thought it was really good because they were going to explore. So the monsters were trying to find Boo, and they opened the door and they saw this really old lady. I was like, what happened to Boo? And then they end up being stuck in the human world, and the whole adventures. And I thought that was really interesting. We got a little bit of that in Monster University in one of the final scenes, but I think it was the ending was more touching because the twist was that the old lady was Boo, and the times are different between the Monster Universe and the human world, and it gives me back to that Toy Story 3 kind of emotional, because one thing with Toy Story and Monster Inc. or a lot of Pixar sequels or sequel films, they have a very powerful emotional element about, growing up or touching kind of like stories, and I thought that was just so perfect because it just gives a nice ending. Like, I'm not saying it had to end it there, but like it was a perfect kind of opening and beginning, because it's like it explains why, like, because sometimes like, what happens to Boo when she grows up? It has this kind of like couple of fan questions. But to be honest, I didn't mind Monster University, but a lot of stuff elements did annoy me. Where I know they're trying to like, I think they did it in one of the concept delete scenes that. Because I don't think it really works, because Mike and Sully meant to meet at, like, when they were at school. Because there's a lot of time in some of the scenes in Monster Inc. 1 is where Mike is saying, do you remember the third grade or something? And after watching that, it's like, it doesn't really make sense now. Because I know, like, they're trying to. Now they're saying that, they're kind of older now, they probably can't remember. But come on, who cannot remember your, like, best friend from school or when you met them? Yeah, exactly. And plus they weren't friends as well. They were like foes, like they were competing against each other. So
it's a big kind of plot hole between those two films, and I think they did a deleted scene where they were in school, but I don't know. I feel like it kind of ruins the first one in just that very short scene. I'm not saying for like the whole movie, but just that scene itself.
Yeah, I think what we're getting onto here, at least this is where I can feel like the what we're poking the stick at is storytelling, isn't it? And
Yeah.
you know, so I'm going to say something a little bit controversial. I think that the storytelling now, generally across kind of kids' films, or, if I could brand them as kind of, kids' films like now, isn't as good as what it used to be previously. Now, I'll tell you a story, right? So obviously we're all in lockdown at the minute, but before the lockdown happened, I went back to my family's house because, we could all tell that a lockdown was coming. So I said, right, I'm going to go spend an evening with them. And my siblings said, we're going to put on a film. I was like, okay. So, we ordered some pizza and this is it. So they put on a film, and they put on 101 Dalmatians, the original cartoon version, a film that I watched loads as a kid. And this was the first time I've seen this film in about 15 years. And I was like, wow. And actually, I said something in the middle of the film and to my siblings, and I was like, I actually prefer this kind of storytelling and the original cartoons to what is happening overall now. I don't know, like something a bit controversial, but I really enjoyed that unexpected watching of 101 Dalmatians, the original. I just thought, this is nice.
I think you prefer like those type of like kind of movies where I kind of agree with you. Most of the older movies are a lot better compared to what they've done now. But sorry, carry on.
But yeah, like my sister was quite delighted that I said that, because she's very much of the same opinion. And I just like the cartooning as well, because like you could see all the original handwork of the cartoon, and it's weird when you watch it because you can tell which part of the scene is going to move first. And something else about 101 Dalmatians, as a kid, I remember watching that and being scared when the dogs had to go running through the middle of the night in the storm over the lake.
It was pretty scary.
It dealt with a lot of emotions, and Cruella de Vil was a bit like she was a nasty piece of work.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed watching it as a kid. And then the live action one came out, which was just a slow movie.
I did like, to be honest, I did like the live action, but I know it was just a I did enjoy the live action, but I'm not a fan of some of the new live actions. Even I am doing a live action Toy Story 2. But that's one other topic we do want to talk about, how live action is kind of taking over all the Disney films. Now, I agree with you that point is like I did prefer the old Disney films compared to the new ones, because they had a lot of great storytelling. I do know that it was based on a book. A lot of Disney films were a kind of a copy of the books, but with the animation as well, and the visuals, just it was incredible. But I think I did miss the era of 2D animation. I don't really mind. I'm not hating on the new Disney films, but I felt like a lot of the story, like I think there's not much kind of motions of like, cause a lot of like you were saying, it was quite scary. In some Disney films were pretty scary back then, and it had like scary and sadness and excitement, and it was just. But I think like the new ones focus a bit too much comedy. Don't get me wrong, some does have like good kind of like emotional scenes, but I feel like they're going too hard with writing it to be for pleasing the modern audience. But yeah, I do kind of miss that kind of classical Disney films. You know how like DreamWorks are mostly comedy.
Yeah,
With those 3D films.
I think there is an argument to say that the quality of the storytelling was better back then than maybe what it is now.
Yeah.
And I say that cautiously.
Let's talk about Incredibles 3.
The Incredibles.
So should they do Incredibles 3? Because
maybe this one is a bit more of an interesting one because So I think this is I think out of all the ones we've spoken about, I think this is the easiest one to say yes, they should. Well, not the easiest one, but the easiest one to make a storyline for.
Yeah.
You know, you could go with the angle of that. What's the?
I had an idea of what could happen, but I want to listen to what you say first.
No, go on. You go first, because I need to.
Well,
go on.
Like I said, I'm not a best Pixar writer, so this is just a rough kind of draft. It might sound bad, but anyway. Well, I would think so. The Incredibles family, it sets like maybe 5-10 years later from the second one, and Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl, they're kind of growing old, and they want to still pass the mantle to Dash and Violet. I think Dash and Violet kind of like also when they've gone older, like they can't really. They want to have a normal life. I know it's the opposite in the first film where they were like wondering with their powers, and they want to be getting new powers. But now they're older, they have like bigger stakes and responsibilities, and I think Mr. Incredible are trying to like keep the family like together with, we need to. They want to pass on the torch with their kids. And the kids don't really want to be kind of do too much superhero stuff. So Mr. Incredible's like the only one part of the family is working hard to kind of recognize their symbol, like the Incredibles family, while everyone else is being busy with their work. And as Bob Parr, he's obviously getting really old. He's not that strong anymore. And there's a couple of like missions where he kind of failed. Very similar to like kind of Spider-Man 2, where he when he doesn't have his powers. But yeah, there's this for the villain. There's this like new super villain. It's sort of like a class of Captain America and Iron Man. So it's very simple.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone's seen The Boys. There's a villain character called Homelander, who's meant to be like a Superman, Captain America kind of type. But yeah, so there's this new superhero who's taking over, basically taking over like the city, the town, and he's like kind of thieving his missions and sort of like taking the glory of what Mr. Incredible's doing. So Mr. Incredible kind of gets a bit jealous with this new superhero because he feels like the Incredible symbol is dying, and this obviously new superhero is kind of like, oh, well, who is this guy? Like, why is he like kind of stealing all my missions out? Like the superhero dudes I'm trying to do, and it ends up being like this major villain, similar to Syndrome, or it could be related to Syndrome. I don't know what. How you could play around it, but yeah, so it's about like accepting I think the moral of the story is accepting like your path, and should you carry on doing this, like what's it like in retirement, and the kids' responsibility of taking the mantle. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd go with something similar. I just seeing the kids step into the parents' shadow, just seeing them step out of that, I think
Yeah.
would be something great, because it gives...
Because there were kids in the first one, and they didn't really understand the stakes. So once people go older, you got more responsibilities. Like maybe Dash really wants to focus on his career, and Violet's got family duties now. You know, she's maybe, you know, trying to deal with her family. Like maybe she's married or something. I don't know, like how many years it would take, but like based on, but. They're both kind of grown up from what the first and second. They're not like kids and have free spirit.
Yeah, I think, yeah, but like, yeah, you know, I think this is The Incredibles franchise is definitely by far the easiest one to make a story for it, because I think to be honest, there's just much less that could go wrong.
It'll be a nice trilogy as well. It'll be a nice, like a free, and I think it creates a nice kind of beginning, middle, and end. You know.
And they left it a while between sequels, didn't they? Because the first one came out in 2004, and the second one came out in 2018. So it's 14 years.
I actually thought sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there. I actually thought it would pick up like later. I didn't expect it to pick up right to the first one, so that was a surprise to me.
Yeah, I was a bit taken aback by that as well. Just one, Shahzaib, what do you think of this? The films that we've talked about. So, Bug's Life came out 1998. Toy Story came out in 1996 in the UK.
Actually, yeah, in the UK. It's crazy because it's so confusing when people say 995 and 996.
Yeah. But here's the thing, right? So obviously people like myself, I'm a little bit older than you, saw these when I was a kid. So if they've made a sequel to whatever these films are, whether it's Bugs Life, Monsters Inc. or whatever, they've really got... I don't think they can make... Well, I think it'd be more challenging to make a sequel, because the sequel isn't going to appeal to people like me. My film tastes have changed.
That's pretty much what, like, especially today's film, like films these days with marketing, and going a bit off topic with Pixar, for example, horror films like the new Scream 5 or Halloween, they're taking away the numbers of the sequels and make into a reboot because they want to focus on today's audience. They don't really care about the previous audience because they want it to aim at teenagers or today, you know, what people are trending, because they know that people who haven't seen the other ones and they'll be like, I can't be bothered to watch all the other sequels. Then it's kind of clever marketing what they're trying to do. But I feel like today, a lot of recent films are not really focusing on too much about old past audience, but they're going to be focused on like newer audiences that haven't seen it. I think one thing about Toy Story 4, but I noticed in each Toy Story film, see, my brothers grew up with Toy Story 1. I grew up with Toy Story 2. My little cousin grew up with Toy Story 3. And I know some kids have grown up with Toy Story 4. And the fun thing I love about that is that everyone had their own kind of Toy Story. You know, like, I love the idea where they had, like... Now, Forky is, like... I'm not a massive fan of Forky, because obviously it's a brand new character, obviously for Woody and Buzz, but kids adore Forky. Honestly, it's a lesson with Toy Story 3 is that I know some people don't want to see sequels, and I know Toy Story 4 was very, very, very most... Everybody did not want to see the Toy Story 4. I was like, how dare they ruin Toy Story 3? Because it was ended perfectly. But just seeing how it made so much kids happy kind of sells it to me. And I know there are fans who want a Toy Story 5 or want a sequel in these Pixar sequels. But it's just sort of like going that lesson by letting it go or passing the torch around for each generation. And I think it's quite, you know... It's an argument between money and storytelling, but I kind of see it passing to a new generation of kids.
Which brings us to an interesting question. Should Pixar and other film production companies, should they focus on new films or sequels?
Now, I'm gonna say I wouldn't mind her doing sequels because I would thought it would be. I don't want to miss the opportunity to do a sequel because if they got a good story, then write it down, do the sequel, because you know the actors are not gonna be here forever. They're growing old each day, so if you got a sequel idea, do it right now. But I don't mind doing original films. I didn't mind this last generation of because we had both. We kind of like Pixar kind of have a thing with both fans where we got original films and a sequel. If they do have any, like example I was saying about Monster Inc. 2 or Bugs Life, if they got some room to do that, and I think they should do it. And if they don't want to do theatre releases, I know things are changing right now with films and cinema and streaming service, and we had a bit of a debate about this, like, should, we want to go back to the cinemas or films should be streaming service. I still think they should bring the characters alive and carrying on the property. When, like, especially if a lot of people want to see a Woody and Buzz TV series. If they can't get the original actors, then get like some good impressionists. Like, there's so much room in that streaming service they can carry on bringing the characters alive to younger audience or older fans. But I would love to like them to carry on doing sequels if they got a good story. So that's my.
So I have let's put this down to the viewers. So in the comments, just put sequels or original films, and we'll see what the overall consensus is. So
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Let's put a timer on this. So I'm going to put a timer on my little watch here. So get your keyboards ready. And we will say, or I'll say, you've got 15 seconds to put in the comments what you think. So either you're going to be original films. So Shahzaib, are we going to take corners? Should we take corners like a ring, like a boxing match?
Yeah, well,
I'll be in the original.
I'll be in the sequels because
so you'll be in the sequels.
I want to see sequels.
Right, so I want to see more original films. So, guys, you've got 15 seconds starting from now. Comment, go. So I'll let you know when we finish.
While we wait, let's talk about another subject. Maybe let's talk about some new films coming out because
2, 1,
go.
End. That's it, guys. You're done. Okay, so Shahzaib, we'll go on to that, but we have 15 seconds. So let's log in to the comments because, guys, I'll be honest, I haven't been watching the comments, but I'm actually going to have a look. Let's see what's been happening. So,
so 2 people said original films. So far, 1 person says sequels.
Hang on, Jared. There we go. Go on.
Whoa! Can't comment twice, Jared. Sorry about that. But yeah.
Oh wait, there's another one. So I'm on. So Shahzaib, it's 3-1.
Actually, now it's 3-1. Yeah.
All right. So original films is what it is.
All right.
So guys,
so the original film win.
We'll submit your feedback to after they don't
send to Pixar.
We'll send it to Pixar, guys, and we'll hopefully change the course of Pixar films forever.
Let's talk about some of the new films that are coming out, and I'm pretty excited for Soul because I just recently watched a Pixar. It was on Disney Plus. It was a Pixar documentary called Inside Pixar. And it was interesting because the writer, it's like a full documentary of one of the writers was called Kemp Powers, I believe that's his name, and he's written this whole story about this African American kind of lifestyle, and his experience of his life as a Pixar employee, but because the story is about this jazz teacher is trying to get successful in this jazz career, but once he recently got to the level he wanted, he actually dies and he can't accept death. Now, I thought that's a really interesting kind of story they're going with that. And also doing the African American culture with it. What's your thoughts on that, Alex?
Well, okay, so that surprises me because I mean I've heard of Onward, but I've not.
Sorry,
seen...
Soul.
Oh yeah, sorry, Soul. So death is obviously a very difficult subject, no matter who you are, and especially difficult for kids, for younger people who maybe don't quite grasp it. And yeah, so the fact that it's having to deal with that is that's a big leap. That's like, okay, we're gonna take something serious.
Very
here.
dark, but kind of moving the same way. Because
yeah, this is it. We're gonna take something really serious, and we're going to try and shine a light on it in a different way. So what's my overall thought? Brave decision, and I'm looking forward to see how they deal with it and what the reception is, because because ultimately, if they deal with it in a really nice way, so let's say adults go see the film with the kids, and the adults really appreciate it, and they're like, "Oh, that's really good. I think they'll deal with that really well." And then they turn around and look at that kid, and that kid is bawling up in tears. It's
that's why they got like there's two sides from the trailer. There's two sort of characters in the story, because they got this real life. This is what I love about the film, is that you actually explore human characters more. I know they've done The Incredibles, but they made it into like a more cartoonish superhero kind of style, like the character style or the art style. But I like how they're getting their technology and bringing it to like the next level of the human world. They did quite a lot of that in Inside Out, and a lot of previous, or Coco, that's one of them. But yeah, I like how they're going the next level and actually like getting a realistic world, because Pixar can nail that. And I know sometimes like maybe the younger audience might understand, like that might get a bit bored of the realistic world. So it's quite clever to balance it with this kind of cartoonish character as well. So it kind of goes back to the bringing it for both audiences. So it's like, so for example, adults won't be bored or kids won't be bored. So it's kind of for both of them, which is, Pixar always does that. Like they have this clever idea of kind of making the film for everyone. It doesn't matter how old you are or how young, you're going to at least have a laugh or enjoy about it.
I think most film companies will try and do that. Especially with kids' films, because it's really funny actually. You're watching kids' films back again as an adult, and I don't have any kids yet myself. Maybe one day, but I'm pretty sure one day I'll get so fed up with kids' films. If I do have kids, it'll drive me nuts. But when I have been watching them, it's funny to hear all the adult jokes, because
I know a lot of DreamWorks does the extreme of that.
Yeah, they just slip them in there, and it's like, what? Like, you watch this, and you're like,
you know what? Like, as a kid, because we watching some of these films, I never got the joke, and then now watching like, oh yeah, I get that reference. I shouldn't really. That made me laugh kind of more. Like that's one thing I love. I do love. I'm not a massive fan of DreamWorks, but I do love the first two Shrek films. So I get some of the jokes in that, which they go extremely funny in some of the jokes. But
yeah, I'll be honest. I am a fan of DreamWorks overall. I do think like every production company, they've made their mistakes. But I think Ice Age. What's the character who's always obsessed about what's the squirrel's name in Ice Age?
My mind's blank on that one, but.
Whatever he's called,
it's something. It's started with an S or something. Or
yeah, I find him
Scavenge. I can't remember his name.
I find him absolutely hilarious. And the stuff that he gets involved in, all just find this little peanut.
The thing you were saying, Alex, about films like Ice Age, and and the stuff I do agree with you where is that there's a level of how many sequels you can do. Like, for example, I say there's one examples where you do a film and a film and a film and a film, and each film as a sequel, each number gets a really more bad film. Like, I do agree with that way, because sometimes they just do it for either crash grabs or merchandise, and it's one of those things where people get very worried about if they're going to do a sequel of one of your beloved films. But yeah, it's a very on and off thing. But at least like what they have now with these Disney Plus streaming service, I've seen a lot of comments saying that books like prequel or a Toy Story series. I think there's still a good way to kind of win both parties where they can still continue on with the characters in case people don't want a sequel, but then bring it into like a Disney Plus film. I know you were really worried about the idea of streaming service taking over cinemas, because I don't mind going to the cinemas and watching a good film, but if people are going to complain about a sequel, then give it to the audience who wants it in that way.
Okay, but then look at Indiana Jones. I mean, I know this is not Pixar at all, but Indiana Jones. I mean, I remember when that one came out, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That was just an episode. I remember sitting in again when I was working in Odeon, and I remember sitting in the cinema watching this, and I remember the ending. I was like, "What on earth is this?" And for me, it absolutely destroyed it. I'm just trying to think of some other sequels that shouldn't have happened. Die Hard is another one that's just like, how much more could we take?
Fast and Furious is probably the big one. But they're finally ending it, though.
Yeah.
They've finally got a fight. I mean, they want like Infinity War sort of style. Sorry.
Hang on a minute.
Sort of style.
What about Jaws?
Jaws? I only see Jaws 1. I did not know that exists, and I'm terrible of finding that out. I didn't realize there was a Jaws 2.
Yeah, they made.
I never really kept on the Jaws franchise. Mostly for me, it's Star Wars or Pixar. Or I got a lot of stuff I'm interested in. Funny enough, you're gonna kill me for saying this. I actually just recently watched Jaws, like properly as a full film. I've seen when I was younger, but I couldn't remember it. I've seen like certain scenes. Back in the day when it was on TV or anything like that. But now I've seen the full film, and I actually loved it. So
yeah, I think it's you can definitely appreciate it more considering the tools they had at their disposal at their time.
Wait. Sorry,
American Pie is another one I think they've done to death.
Here's an idea. Now I just thought of, why don't Pixar, like we were talking about, I think the last podcast about the MCU, why don't Pixar do a kind of like a shared universe film, like a crossover film? Because I know they do exist in the same universe, but wouldn't that be interesting to cross over like each character's, like a Monster Inc. and Toy Story film? Because I can see that kind of working. Where it sets in Toy Story 1 or 2, and then Mike and Sully accidentally stepped into Andy's room, and the toys followed the Monster Inc. There was a comic book. I remember there was a comic book about it. But yeah, that'd be kind of interesting. Like they can sort of cross over to different as a film or a short, because they've got so many characters that they could work. But what do you think of that?
I'm not sure about that. I think the big universe was.
You like it as just a separate films, or?
I don't know if they can make that work. I'm just that makes me like, it makes me more nervous more than anything. It's just like, how are they going to fit all this?
One thing I am worried about, I hope they do not do in the streaming stuff. I know they're doing these Pixar remixes toys for the aliens. I'm scared. I don't want them to become the new Minions. So I'm worried if they're going to do like a live action spin-off show or something, or a film. Like the Minions. with the aliens, because the aliens can only don't really say much. Same with the minions, but like, is there going to be like a trip for them to go to Pizza Planet and they got stuck on like on an adventure trip or something like that? Because sometimes with films with spin-offs where there's a really great side character like everybody loves, but once they have their own film, it's always not really quite good. You know? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it kind of, they were great as a supporting role, but then
they can't have a full feature film. And I think that's one where the minions didn't kind of work or something, because they were just a great side gag to sort of like, you know, it's like, you know, always. Sorry, my voice is going in this, but yeah, it's sort of like the essential. You can't have these side characters as the essential characters because there's not much stake to them. They're more added for comedy.
Yeah.
And if they overdone it so much to joke, it's kind of like bores you out. And I think that's one of the reasons these kind of things doesn't go well. And I know there's a lot of spin-offs done that with like the road. I don't remember what character it was, but there was another film did that with the side character. I think it was Kronk. Yeah, have you ever seen Emperor's New Groove?
No.
Well, if anyone's seen it on the chat, like for example, the Kronk, he was a great side character, but he has his own movie, and I think that did quite bad. So, but yeah, have you ever seen the Buzz Lightyear Command film or the series?
No, I haven't. I'll be honest. Like I said, I'm not one to kind of delve into kind of side films, if I can call them that. I'm more just stick to the main ones. Although sometimes I will, like from the Wall-E one, I saw Bernie, for example, which I thought was quite nice. That was a nice little short film.
I've seen a lot of people in the chat referencing the characters, so and yeah, I think, like I said, there's room for because Buzz Lightyear had his own show after Toy Story 2, and it was a pretty good show. And it wasn't connected to the opening was the Toy Story gang watching the VHS, so it's from the Toy Story universe, and then it's like because there's so much references on the film in the first film about the Buzz Lightyear show. You know, everyone wondered what was it like for him and his show, and what was his adventures about. And they actually did like a whole season and a movie, you know. And I think there was a lot of fans with it because they added a bit of there was more there was a bit of comedy to it as well. So I definitely recommend watching that. But yeah, if there's any more questions, please feel free.
Yeah, fire them in, guys. We'd love to obviously get you involved. That's part of the reason why we're doing this. So fire your thoughts in the comments. If you think we're wrong, that's absolutely fine. Tell us. All right.
Well, we'll stick around maybe 5 more minutes, and we'll just so we're just scrolling down through your comments. Anyone was
it's because like I say, I've not logged in to see the comments. Have we had any Q&As? Do anyone want to fire any questions?
Lee, well, people saying hi. Lee Knight Studio says hi. Hi, Lee Knight. Jared, the winner 79 says, "Do you know Today I Grew Up?" I don't know him personally, but I am a fan of his videos. I love his custom Woody tutorials, and I do watch a couple of his videos. So, but yeah, he's a great YouTuber. Lee Knight Studio says, "What's gonna happen in Cars 4?" I don't think they're doing a Cars 4, but if they ever do, I hope not, because I'm not a fan of Cars. But do you have an idea for Cars 4, Alex?
Not a Scooby-Doo.
Well, because I think Cars did have a nice trilogy where Lightning McQueen was like, you know, he retires and he becomes like Doc's character from the first one, and because Doc was kind of like the mentor, but then Lightning McQueen becomes like the mentor in the end.
Yeah.
Jared also says, imagine in Toy Story 5 where what happened to the former toys from Andy's room from the first 2 films. All right.
Yeah, that's the point. Because hang on a minute.
What about
the soldiers? What about
they actually, the soldiers left. They left. There was a scene in the opening Toy Story 3. They did like this protocol where Andy's completely reverse. We did our duty, and then they actually go to Sunnyside. But there's a lot of other toys that I was a fan of. Like there was Rocky, there was the robot, there was Mr. Mike. At least
was the RC in it?
The RC was in Toy Story 4 in the opening, so I was happy they brought RC back. Brother Shako Films. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Or an idea for a Bugs Life TV show. Yeah, well, I could say, like I said, Disney Plus does have a room of ideas for Pixar. They got the whole channel of Pixar content, so they could do a TV series. I know they're doing a Monster Inc. show. Toy Story 4 had like these kind of shorts where it was like Forky asked a question, and Bo Peep.
Yeah, I remember those.
There's one with Bo Peep's story, and that was kind of like a very nice short because between what happened to her between 2 and 3. I would love if they tie a boat where Woody and the gang returns back to Andy's room, and it's like passed to torch. It could be called Andy's Junior. I don't know what Andy's kids would be called, but it'll be a nice kind of a tie boat. It kind of has a nice kind of a full circle. So, you left Andy's room and now you're back in Andy's room. That sort of thing. Because I thought Andy's room is kind of part of Toy Story. And that's one thing I didn't really... It was hard for me to like about the new film. Don't get me wrong, I do love the new films. But I feel like the whole setting in that Andy's room is iconic. Especially with 1 and 2. And it's like taking... It's sort of like taking... for example, Star Wars, like the Death Star away from Star Wars. Or Tatooine away from Luke's home. It's that familiar nostalgia we're all familiar with. It's like a cozy home. And I didn't enjoy where, cause a lot of the new shorts were set in Bonnie's room, and I just didn't feel like the same, like Toy Story back in me was where it was all back in Andy's room. And I remember reading the comic books and, like the story novels, and it was just, I just enjoyed that kind of nostalgia as well. But
I agree with you.
Right, so we're gonna be ending the stream now. I want to thank everyone for listening, tuning in. I hope you enjoy it. Hopefully, our next podcast will come up with another interesting topic. I'm glad you guys tuned in again.
Yeah, thank you again, guys. Get involved. So if you want us to talk about anything in specific, if there's anything that you want us to talk about, it doesn't have to be related to Pixar. It could be absolutely anything. Slap it in the comments on the video, because we do read them. And yeah, if there's anything you want us to chat about, you want to hear our opinions on, we'll quite happily get involved with that. So yeah, slap them in. Obviously, if you like it, thumbs up, please. That would be lovely. Yeah, otherwise, guys, take care, stay safe, and obviously with COVID and everything, keep positive.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again, and yeah, we'll see you in the next stream. See you guys.
Cool. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Bye.